Hello, I'm Steph from My Driver Classic, and today I'm back, and I'm a million miles away from home down in Hastings. And usually on a test drive we have a bit of, well, driving, and I just want to point out this wasn't me, but we're going to get to that. Now, the point of this video is that I'm part of an incredible group of women called the Women's Drivers Club, and essentially it joins up kind of mostly classic, isn't it? Mostly classic car drivers that are female, and we all come together in one big club, and it's incredible, and you get to meet some really brilliant people that you wouldn't otherwise meet. And the slant for this year's International Women's Day video was going to be, well, I met Matty and Faye through International Women's Day, through Women's Drivers Club, and this year was going to be a review of this beautiful car. But sadly, Matty took you out learning to drive, and my goodness, what a lesson it was for Faye. And I think the lesson was...
we met a deer.
This is more common than you think, because this actually happened to Freddie, my partner, as well. A deer went over his handlebars, and then I think a second deer, they were following each other, but his bike largely got off unscathed. However, your beautiful little Kestrel hasn't survived quite as well.
No.
Now, what I want to do is I want to fire a few questions between us two, and then I think what we're going to do is we're going to create a second part to this, and we're going to start dismantling it. But what I thought I would do is talk to you about, where do you go when the very worst happens? So it's a little bit of a different video today, and I wanted to talk to Faye, who's not only the owner of this car, but Faye and Matty have spent so much time tracking down parts, but you've also had a lot of support, haven't you?
Oh, the community's been amazing. So I can't lie, when it happened, I think it was a week before I was meant to be taking my test in it. I was learning to drive in it. I was feeling so confident, like as though I could have done it. And I think the only thing I can describe was I felt like my little world had crushed, which sounds pathetic, but it's true. I literally opened the door to my car and I screamed my head off because I just didn't want it to be real, but it was real. And I was just felt like I'm not ready to let go of this car. It was my little world and my little dream. So I'm not dissuaded, and I didn't want to get it written off. God, I feel like I'm crying here. Sad, I know, but I didn't want to get it written off, and the community's been amazing. Everybody's been so helpful. You were great. Everybody was like helping, trying to source parts and just trying to be amazing, as people are in the car community, you know. So, yeah, we're just going to get her back on the road. So, out and about in her. I'm like, oh.
We're both going to need some Kleenex. This is what people always think. People always go, oh, blood emotional with it.
Sorry.
It's so hard, isn't it? Because when you love your classic car, but, well, I think one of the great things about classic car is the community. Now, I know that Practical Classics gave you a shout out.
Oh, they were incredible.
Yeah,
all the clubs, Riley Club, all the little, everybody, 1100 Club. Yeah, everybody was amazing, helping, sourcing bits, saying, oh, I've seen this on Facebook Marketplace, I've seen this on eBay, I've got this in my garage. And it makes it made me feel a whole lot better about the way that I was.
Now, it's worth saying, I'm going to start drilling into the technical here, is that if you had done this in a Morris Minor, we could have ordered all the parts online, and we probably could have got them within 48 hours, or certainly a couple of working days, give or take a couple of bits and pieces. There's things like the quarter light hinges. I know that's not a point, but why is no one making the quarter light hinges for Morris Minors? But anyway, coming back to this, it's really important to note that none of these panels are made anymore, are they? I don't think so. Certainly not some of your trim, like...
these parts, I mean, I was just starting to look over everything, and you're like, oh, well, I can save this, and then you're like, oh, this is compromised. Yeah. So, it was this front part, really, that was like the biggie, but, I mean, somebody found one on Facebook Marketplace, so I was like, oh, my God.
And how did you get that here from Facebook Marketplace? Where was it?
Gosh, actually, up north. It's hidden away behind us. But yeah, so we had to have a courier pick it up from, I think it was like outside Manchester or something somewhere. So not too bad, at least it wasn't abroad.
But the whole community have come together for you, haven't they? And I mean, a lot of people,
incredible.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people saying, actually, there was I think a misapprehension online that the car was full of filler because people could see this white white primer coming through. So it is worth saying, if you're watching this at home, that isn't primer, that is paint. But I'm sure you can probably see that anyway.
Yeah.
And I think as well, a lot of people will say, well, what's happened in the engine bay and what's happened to the structural integrity of the car? And it's worth saying that the car's been checked. Structurally is absolutely sound. It is very much cosmetic. So what's happened is...
Thank God.
Thanks.
Thanks.
You were... this sounds completely misplaced, but you were very lucky. Because
yeah, totally.
the wrong bit, or if it had gone across the roof, I think it would have done a lot more.
Yeah.
And I think it's a real testament to you because, you know, you look at this wing and it's the first thing that you see and you think, oh my goodness. And
yeah.
I think this area here, this quarter, seems to have taken most of the damage.
Still keeping the bit of deer hair there for authenticity.
I think it's worth saying. We're laughing, we're both vegetarians.
I know, we are, yeah, I was going to say.
But yeah, so let's talk through your game plan because you've got, so let's talk through what's going on. And also, I'm going to talk about what's going on under the bonnet.
Yeah,
so
should get it up.
The bonnet. Bet you felt like Debbie McGee being assistant there. Now, as you can see, under the bonnet, the engine is placed transversely. Now, this has worked dividends in the favour of Faye and Matty in this situation, because should the engine have been round the other way, what you would have noticed is as the deer came into the car, it probably would have impacted the engine. And as Faye said to me, thank God I haven't got to rebuild that engine. But you can see in the engine bay there that a lot of your worries that all of this side and all of this quarter would have been crushed in, it's largely unscathed. This panel here across the front, this is going to need to be remade. But you know what? This is how great the community is you've had somebody come forward today, haven't you? Saying, I can help straighten up parts, I can help sort things out.
Yeah.
So I can't
incredible.
see what's going to go back on the road. How many Kestrels are left out though?
I think it's 85 at the moment.
And how many are in this colourway? Because it's a
3.
beautiful colour. No.
Yeah, so I was like, oh gosh, that's, no, it's only 3. 3 of the little crab sticks left. Oh. So I've got
crab
to
sticks.
Yeah, she's the crab stick colourway. We've had everything. I've had latte, crab stick.
No,
so I'll just keep them going. So yeah, and I was like, with 60th birthday coming up, I was like, it's got to be.
And when's the 60th birthday?
It's got to be ready before there, but it's next year, so it's like, come on, girl.
So I mean, you know, if you do have any parts as well, by the way, it's worth saying, just chuck a comment in the section below or email me, idriveaclassic@gmail.com, and I can pass that over to Faye and Matty. But I think by and large, it's a really great learning experience for you because you'll take this car apart. This is one of the things that I learned by taking my own car apart, is that when you put it back together, you know it's put back together right.
Yeah.
And I think that largely by how it's taken the impact and how you've come away unscathed, it's obviously a very solid car anyway, but building it back yourself, you get a lot of, it won't feel like this now, but you do get a lot of joy in it. And
yeah, totally.
You learn so much, and you will come together at the same time. You'll pass your driving test.
No,
be
come on.
And so your goal is next year, so that's 2025. So that gives you a good solid 12 months to turn this round.
Yeah, I know. That's it. I don't know. I want to get it done. It's that thing of you need to get it done, but I don't want to just rush it and, you know, bodge it. No. But it's one of those things that the joy and frustration.
No, in an ideal world, because, you know, I do like to get my hands dirty, I'd be a little bit closer, but the girls are 300 miles door to door, so this is a little bit of a trek for me to pop down on a Saturday and come and help. But I've brought my overalls actually, so we can do a little bit, and I think we'll film it. So we're not just going to stand here and kind of show you it and walk you around it. We're going to start dismantling some of it as well today, because Faye said to me, I've been really busy, and I could almost sense that life was doing this, and the motivation was kind of sticking around here because it's rubbish weather at the moment. Your workloads are high, so I said, right, let's get that joy and enthusiasm sparked back off again, and we'll get going with some tools. But I guess the last thing I'll end on before we get going, I'm going to go and put on the muddy old overalls because I realised when I packed them they're covered in mud. Why did you pick this car?
Oh, good question. So, bit of a weird thing. I had a Wolseley 1500 before, which I loved the drivability of it, gorgeous little car. And then I was like, I'm going to go for something a bit more 70s. And I was looking for totally something that wasn't Riley Kestrel. And I'm going to be dead honest. We were like, had a look at it through the club and went to see it, and I absolutely fell in love with it at first sight. It was just the shape of her, the way that she drives is amazing, so easy. I mean, I'm not going to comment on the Love Art grill. And the floaty suspension is just, it's that feeling, it's like you're on a little cloud. So I was like, I just fell in love with it as soon as I saw it and was in it. I was like, oh yeah, this is for me.
And it was a very popular, you know, the ADO 16 was a very popular car to be picked by driving schools at the time. It was Britain's best-selling car, and it was in the top 10 throughout its entire production life. So your sentiment and your love of this car is shared by so many people. It's just a shame that there are so few left. And I think it's a real testament to your dedication to both the car and the community that you're taking this on, that you're not... And so many people I saw say to you, oh, just scrap it and move on.
Yeah.
Because society's so disposable.
I know, and I was like, you know what? One of the joys is you always get in your cars anyway, oh, I had one of them and I've had one of them. And you do get it, but the best thing is when you've got L plates on it, everyone goes, I learnt to drive in that, which is like, it's great. And it's just, it's such a nice experience. I was just like, yeah, it's my little car, so I wasn't ready to give up. So on we go.
Good on you. And you know what? I think it's great. And we're going to do some work today. Poor old Matty's holding the camera, being the glamorous assistant on that side of the lens today. And so we can kind of get going with things, get some stuff done, and get that enthusiasm rolling again, because this car deserves a second stab. You deserve to be driving her. You've put so much attention and love into her already. And you are such an asset to the classic car community.
Oh, give up.
So for any women that want to join us in Women's Drivers Social Club,
please.
I've popped the Facebook group below. It's run by Becca Treston from Passenger Seat Podcast. She, again, is another amazing woman in our community, and we're so lucky to have such a brilliant network of women that have all been brought together. We all sit under one umbrella, whether we love cars like this, whether we love supercars.
Yeah.
Everybody's together, and people say, why do you have a women's club? And you know what? If for no other reason, it's been a godsend for meeting people like you, meeting people like Matty, and getting out there and just finding a whole spectrum of other women out there that love the same stuff as I do, and it's expanded my friendship network. So if you are sitting at home, even if you're somebody's wife and your hobby is maybe something else and you're just a little bit interested in cars, come and join us. It's really good fun. And for everybody out there, happy International Women's Day, and remember, International Men's Day is in November.
Hey!
Now, until next time, take care and drive safely.